Last week, a video went viral, a massive, unidentified silhouette filmed off the coast of Australia. The comments section lost its mind. Megalodon. It's still out there. Scientists have spent decades telling us that's impossible. But here's the thing. Nearly everything science ever claimed about Megalodon, where it came from, what it looked like, how big it got, turned out to be wrong. Not slightly off. Fundamentally, embarrassingly wrong. And in 2025, the entire picture of this animal was redrawn from scratch. What we know about Megalodon today is stranger, more impressive, and honestly more unsettling than anything Hollywood has ever put on screen. For over a century, Megalodon was classified as a close relative of the great white shark. Same genus, same family tree, same teeth, same lineage, just 3 times longer and 40 times heavier. It seemed like a no-brainer. The great white is the largest living predatory shark on Earth. What better starting point could you ask for? The problem is that sharks have no bones. Their skeletons are made entirely of cartilage, the same soft material in your nose and ears, and cartilage almost never fossilizes. When Megalodon disappeared 3.6 million years ago, it left behind almost nothing. Nothing except its teeth. 276 at a time, constantly replaced throughout its life, over 40,000 in total. The seafloor is still littered with them today, triangular, serrated, some stretching up to 18 centimeters long. From those teeth alone, scientists constructed their entire understanding of this animal. They got it wrong. In the early 2000s, researchers started running detailed comparisons between the teeth of both species. What they found was hard to dismiss. The serrations on a great white's teeth are irregular and coarsely triangular. Megalodons are finer, more uniform, and structurally in a completely different league. No overlap, no meaningful relationship. In 2019, Megalodon was officially reclassified into its own extinct family, the Otodontidae, a lineage that had split from the great white's ancestors as far back as the early Cretaceous. Megalodon and the great white shark are about as closely related as a human and a lemur. For nearly 200 years, we had been using the wrong animal as our model, and if the base model was wrong, then everything built on top of it was wrong too. What it looked like, how it hunted, and most importantly, how large it actually was. Every museum exhibit, every blockbuster film, every nature documentary shows the same thing. A stocky, hulking great white shark blown up to absurd proportions. A living tank of cartilage and teeth bulldozing through the ocean. In 2025, an international team of 28 scientists, led by paleobiologist Dr. Kenshu Shimada, published a study that dismantles that image entirely. They analyzed the most complete Megalodon fossil ever found, a vertebral column unearthed in Belgium, and compared its proportions against 165 living and extinct shark species. What they found, Megalodon was almost certainly far more streamlined and hydrodynamic than anyone had assumed. Not the battering ram of popular culture, but something closer to elegant. In body shape, it more closely resembled a modern lemon shark, a flatter jaw, a shorter snout, and extraordinarily long pectoral fins to keep its enormous mass balanced and stable. Nearly every reconstruction you've ever seen will have to be revised. Now we get to the numbers, and the numbers get uncomfortable. The Belgian vertebral column measures 11 meters, and that's only the trunk. No head, no tail. Applying Shimada's proportions gives us an animal around 16.5 meters long. Impressive, but nowhere near the ceiling. From Denmark, a single vertebra, 23 centimeters wide. Run the same calculation and you get a body length of around 24 meters, roughly 94 metric tons. To put that in perspective, the largest great white ever reliably measured came in at just under 7 meters. The T-Rex, one of the most powerful biters in the entire history of life on this planet, had a bite force of around 57,000 newtons. Megalodon's bite force is estimated somewhere between 108,000 and 182,000 newtons, more than 3 times as much, not to pick off fish, to tear whales apart. A fully grown megalodon needed roughly 1,100 kilograms of food every single day, the weight of a small car, gone every day, just to keep it alive. And that leads us to the question that haunts everyone who seriously studies this animal. If something was this massive, this widespread, this deeply embedded in every ocean on Earth, could it really just vanish? Let's be straight with each other. In 2013, a TV network aired a documentary showing a blue whale carcass off the coast of Hawaii, supposedly the work of a living megalodon. Millions of people watched it. What most of them missed was the disclaimer right at the start of the film, clearly stating that none of it was based in reality. Actors, staged footage, complete fiction presented as fact. In 1918, an Australian fisherman swore he saw a shark somewhere between 30 and 90 meters long making off with his lobster pots. In 2022, NBC Boston ran the headline, "2 Megalodon sightings off New England." It turned out to be a basking shark. And then there's the argument that just won't die. The Mariana Trench, nearly 11 kilometers deep. Fewer humans have reached its floor than have walked on the moon. If we've genuinely only explored around 5% of the world's oceans, could Megalodon still be down there, completely undetected for millions of years? It's a gripping idea, and in the strictest sense, it can't be ruled out with absolute certainty. But the practicalities don't hold up. An animal that needs over 1,000 kilograms of food per day simply cannot survive in one of the most food-scarce environments on the planet. The deepest fish ever recorded, the snailfish, was caught on camera at around 8,200 meters. Below that, there just isn't enough to sustain anything. Megalodon was not a deep-sea predator. Every piece of evidence we have points to it raising its young in warm, shallow coastal waters and doing most of its hunting in the sunlit upper layers of the ocean. There's also the matter of the HMS Challenger. In 1873, during the first ever systematic survey of the world's oceans, the crew pulled up megalodon teeth from deep-sea sediments that looked suspiciously fresh. Later dating placed them at between 11,000 and 24,000 years old. In geological terms, practically yesterday. For some people, that felt like proof. The most plausible explanation is a lot less exciting. The teeth were just exceptionally well preserved, coated in a thick crust of manganese dioxide that dramatically slowed their decay. Not recent, just unusually well protected. The strongest counter-argument, and it's one most people already know, goes like this. In 1938, a curator at a South African museum spotted something odd in a local fisherman's catch, a coelacanth, a species that was supposed to have been extinct since the age of the dinosaurs. It had been quietly alive for millions of years, completely under the radar. If that's possible, why not Megalodon? Here's why it's different. The coelacanth is just under 2 meters long. It feeds on small fish in deep, dark water. It leaves almost no trace of its existence. Megalodon was 24 meters long, needed more than a ton of food every day, and hunted in the shallow coastal waters where humans have been fishing, sailing, and diving for thousands of years. A living megalodon would not be difficult to find. It would be completely impossible to miss. The extinction of Megalodon wasn't a single catastrophic event. It was a slow collapse of everything that kept it alive. Around 3.6 million years ago, at the end of the Pliocene, the marine food chain started to fundamentally break down. 36% of all large marine species disappeared. 55% of large marine mammals, 43% of sea turtles. The whales, dolphins, and large fish that Megalodon's enormous appetite depended on were simply gone. Megalodon was almost certainly mesothermic. It could regulate its own body temperature independently of the water around it, much like a warm-blooded animal. It had endured for 19 million years across oceans, ranging from tropical shallows to cooler latitudes. The cold alone didn't finish it off. What killed it was its own size. Into that gap stepped the great white shark, smaller, leaner, needing only a fraction of the daily caloric intake. The great white was built precisely for the lean, competitive world that was destroying Megalodon. The ocean's most dominant apex predator wasn't taken down by something bigger or stronger. It was simply outcompeted by something more efficient. And something unexpected followed Megalodon's disappearance. Whales started getting bigger. The blue whale, the largest animal to have ever lived on this planet, likely owes at least part of its existence to the absence of the one predator capable of keeping it in check. We've found Megalodon teeth on every continent except Antarctica. 40,000 teeth per animal, across 19 million years of dominance. And we have never once found a complete skeleton. No body, not ever. Everything we think we know is reconstruction, estimation, educated guesswork. The real Megalodon, sleeker, larger, and stranger than anything Hollywood ever dreamed up, is almost certainly gone. Science is about as confident of that as it is of anything. But the ocean that swallowed it whole is still 95% unexplored. And the animal that ruled every ocean on Earth for 19 million years never left us a body. It only left us questions.